Records show that the only thing we talked about was pending litigation, talking about the former bus garage. I'd like to have a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. We go back into regular session with 5 introductions. A, we have a new resource officer, Philip, Tony Mace.
But I don't see them here.
Okay, let's put a hold on that until they fill up. And go on to item 6, student recognition. A, Grants High School Summer Dynamics. There was a piece of paper that was handed to us prior to the meeting.
Yeah, that's a different item.
Alright.
Testing.
There you go.
Board President, Superintendent, members of the board community, Principal Altonatri. First of all, I want to thank the district and the business office and everyone who supported the science programs in the past and what they do to support Shelby and Mr. Alexander and the students in those programs with science fair and the opportunities here. Tonight, Shelby will introduce himself, and then what happened. The student I expect to walk in at any time because he said he'd be here.
Well, I'm not sure. He
Okay.
wasn't feeling too well about that.
Oh, okay. But
Because we can table if you think he might be, or we can.
No, I think we'll just go ahead.
Okay.
Because I think they're also trying to get ready for semester exams. I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you guys what.
Okay.
and so Tom Pounds works in the science department too, and is our MESA advisor, and he traveled with JT and competed and was recognized at a national level. So I'll let Shelby explain that.
Okay, basically from the regional fair every year, we get to nominate some students that have outstanding projects, and JT's was in the area of solar energy. And so the competition he went to, we've had students go in the past, but it's students that compete from around the U.S. and the world. And when he went to the one this summer, he was in the category of energy, so he did pretty well. He got a bronze medal. It's in Oswego, New York, at the State University of New York. They pay for all the housing and everything. All we have to do is pay for the transportation to get him there. I couldn't go this summer, so Mr. Pounds went with him, which was a good experience for him. JT, like I said, did really pretty well and everything, and he's come a long way, and he's been working on some new ideas of some things he wants to do for this year. Back in October of this year, he was invited by the New Mexico Academy of Science because of his science paper that he did last year at the state paper competition to present his paper at the EPSCOR and New Mexico Academy of Science fall meeting. EPSCOR is a corporation foundation that's basically trying to encourage more people to get involved in STEM or science, technology, engineering, and math. So he went down and presented, and I went with him. Did a real good job, got a lot of good feedback and critique of what he was doing and everything. So they're also tied with Sandia Labs and some others that are trying to do outreach in science education and stuff, so it was a good contact for me also. And then last year at the International Science Fair, Karishma Patel, who also got sick today, she got a second place award from University of California, Los Angeles School of Dentistry, where she got a $500 award and then some other recognition for her project working in the area of dentistry. So students have been doing pretty well, and I'd like to encourage them to keep doing it. I appreciate all the support I get from all the school personnel, the school board, from the community, and especially from all the businesses, because they help me raise the money to get these kids to all these different places. And I really appreciate all the help we've had over the years. So, thank you.
Can we have their names again?
It's John T. Goodart. He's a junior at Grants High School. And then Karishma Patel is a sophomore this year at Grants High School. And we hope to have a whole bunch more this year.
Shelby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on that story, during the summer, Tom calls out of the blue, and you can tell by the way he's talking, he's excited as can be, because they wanted to go and represent and do well, but when they placed with the bronze level, my understanding is that basically recognize you're one of the top 300 in the world, not just the nation. So, in that fair, so, because there is representation from all over the world, so.
And to give you an idea, when we went the last 3 or 4 years, we've had second place finishes there, we've had some third places, and the students have all done really well. Wayne Beadle went, same year he did really well in international science there. Tyler Napton went, Sutchin's gone once or twice. So all these kids have done really good work, and it's something they should be proud of, and I'm definitely proud of what they've accomplished. So, thank you for all your help.
Thank you, Shelby. They could do without you, so appreciate it.
Well, they'd find somebody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we go on to item 7. It's an action item, additional course offering at Grants High School. Mr. Autry.
Okay, what I'd like to discuss or explain is the warden from CCA in Milan came to us recently with an idea of how could they be more involved with the school. And so through discussions and where we're headed, that we would like to get, inform the board and to make sure that this is the direction that the board would like to make sure we keep going in, is to add a course. And so what you should have before you are some possible course codes, and really the board's part is that I believe is that that you're approving that we have these course offerings in our course offerings. And so while we haven't identified the specific, those ones there before you, especially from 2501 to 2599, fall into this public service and social services field. And a couple of them that look real promising that we're working with the CCA on and with the district is the 2501, Exploration of Public Services, and possibly the 2596. And the idea would be over time, by next year we'd be able to add, this would be a dual credit option as well, and that eventually we'd be able to put this as another program of study for our career technical education. Of course, the warden and CCA's bonus is that they have students that come out of high school that have shown an interest in this and are farther along in the preparation and training, and that we have more students who may not have chosen a college option yet or a pathway, that they know that they can finish what they've been doing, started at Grants High School, and be working right away as when they're 18 years old. And so we want to bring that into the high school as a course of study where eventually they'd be able to do that.
Any questions? Mr. Space?
This is really points to what we're looking at in terms of what are your industries and what can you, what is it that you can link with your students to those industries in your community. So I think this was an interest expressed by the students, an interest expressed by at least one of our boards. So I would recommend that we approve this.
Just so you're clear, part of the structure would look, the classes would be held at Grants High School with a teacher of record from Grants High School. The way they can be set up is that the correctional CCA employed staff, including the warden and their educational department, the way we're going with right now looks like it'd be mentors or guest instructors, and they would teach smaller units within the semester. So they would have different guest teachers, if you will, for a small unit of study. And basically it'll be there, I'm going to say watered down, because there's some things we're not going to be doing at the high school that they would do over there.
So this would be part of your matrix?
Yes, sir. The goal is to add at least one section into our matrix, possibly by January, if we can work out the finer details of the background checks. They go through extensive background checks, but of course we'd want something here that we would, through the district as well. Eventually, it'd be a year-long, and we would have possibly a 3-course program of study so that we can increase our college and or CTE and career technical education points, if you will, or number of students participating in that, going on to a degree or certification.
Would there also be an opportunity for them to do internships, like, because it's public service, that would be fantastic. They could actually get their on-the-job experience.
Yes, that would be part of it. It may be one of the later classes because we would want to develop 3 courses, but one of the final courses would be an actual internship that they would be moving into the, into the building.
So how many, what kind of numbers are you looking for in order to run a program?
I would hope that we could,
Minimum, maximum?
minimum, I'm hoping we could get about 15 students that would be interested in this and start. I think it could be at any level, whether it's a senior getting ready to graduate or a freshman that kind of, hey, I don't know exactly what, but we need to do a lot of recruiting in January to get some schedule changes in that option.
Would this be an elective or?
It would be an elective.
Any questions? Any space?
I recommend approval as presented.
Okay, you heard the recommendation.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you. I'm going to a basketball game.
Hey,
See you over
that's not
there.
fair.
We'll be right there.
See you there. Send me a spot.
Next thing we have on is item 8, citizens to address the board. We have one person, I think. Mr. Posey,
Yes. Just go up here or over here?
over there. If you could state your name and speak into the mic because of the recording,
Okay.
so it's up on the podium.
Hello? Where's the button? Hello?
Hello?
Hello. My name is Gerald Posey, and I want to thank the Board of Directors for allowing me to come in this evening. What I want to talk about, I looked in the paper Friday and saw the bond election for the New Mexico State College, and I think that's a wonderful idea. This is great to have a college in our community for the kids to get started, and if they want to go on to college further, they can do that. It's a great opportunity, and it's nice to have. But what worries me about this is it's like so many bonds that we vote on. Every one of them passes. And I think the reason that they do pass is because only the property owners pay for this. The rest of them get it. It's like a free gift. You offer anybody, I'll give you $1,000 if you vote. I'm going to be there. And I think that the people that pay for this bonds need to be the only ones allowed to vote on something like this. And I also think that instead of paying for these bonds, the property tax, make the people that own property paying for these bonds, and everybody gets to enjoy them. I think that we need to get with, I don't know how to go about this right now, but like a gross receipts tax. That way everybody is participating. You go down to Walmart, you pay a percentage of gross receipts tax to help pay for these bonds. Because the property taxes are high here, and they go up every year. I've lived a lot of places and paying the highest property taxes I've ever paid in my life. And I don't mind paying my fair share, but I think that everybody that enjoys the facilities and the options from the bonds should help pay for it. And like I say, I don't know what it would take to get a gross receipts tax, but I was hoping that I could convince the board and the people with the knowledge. I'd be glad to work with them to get something like this done, if everyone thinks this is a good idea. And I do appreciate being invited to the board meeting again. This is the first time I've been to something like this, but I do appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak my piece, and I hope I've been professional and respectful to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Posey.
And also, what he was talking about, giving people training in fields that are in our area. I was in the coal-fired power plants for 43 years. It's a great living and it's a great industry if our president doesn't shut them all down. But it's a great opportunity for people to make a good living, and there's great opportunity to learn different trades and to excel in the trade that you're good in. Again, I thank you for being here this evening and the opportunity to voice my opinion. And I would appreciate it if someone would stay in touch with me and let me know if there's anyone that's in favor of what I proposed. Thank you very much.
Could you please leave your name and address with Dr. Space before you leave? Okay.
Yes, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We can't respond to your concern at this time, but we certainly will have Dr. Space talk to you.
That's all I can ask for is
Thank you.
to respect what I've asked for, and if everyone thinks that's a good idea, because the taxes are a killer, and we're paying for those people who maybe for whatever reason have not planned their lives out and don't have they cannot pay their way. But for those of us that have, I would like that respect.
Thank you very much. Anybody else out there? Come on, Lloyd. You want to get up there? All right. If not, we go on to item 9, personnel. Dwayne Vervanen. A, vacancy update.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Space. Friday's handing out just a vacancy update. Dr. Space had requested that I just do a comparison of year to year around this time, how we are comparing vacancy-wise with other years. And so I went back and kind of researched that, and I did a little graph there. And you can see we're kind of right on track, which I think is positive news, especially with, if you've been watching the news, all the shortage of teachers that we have and the vacancies. I was really concerned with APS. I know they had, I think, 50 or 60 special ed vacancies, and they were doing a special job fair on that. So I'm glad to say that we really haven't felt that, but I think that shortage of teachers is going to hit us eventually. I was really excited today. I met with 3 of the candidates. They'll be the first ones going through the NMSU MOA, that partnership that Dr. Space that we were able to work out with NMSU. And I met with 3 candidates today. So those are local people that are going through the teacher ed program, are going to pursue teaching, and more than likely will end up here with the district. So we are looking at different avenues to fill those vacancies.
The question about the names of the individuals that are doing it.
There's 3 that are in the cohort right now, and it's you want me to? Yeah. So Reyes Jaramillo is Lacey Jaramillo, and the 3rd one is Vanessa. I'm at a loss for the last name.
I don't remember, but they're teacher aides or teaching assistants for.
Some are teacher assistants, and we really encourage our teacher assistants to pursue because they make some of the best teachers, and they're very excited. It was fun for me to sit with them and chat with them today, just to see the excitement they have, and they're really excited about this opportunity. And I told them they're kind of the test group that we're going to see how this works out, and hopefully it encourages others to pursue the same avenue.
Good.
This way they don't have to resign. They can work and they can be recognized for that. And that's one way of moving towards growing our own.
Right. Right, and we're able.
In the system.
Yeah. And the way it was traditionally was they could not earn any pay. They'd have to resign. Now we can at least pay them at a substitute wage, so they can. You know, a lot of them have families, so it's a good deal.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I have one comment. I understand that the teacher exam is really a grueling exam that we're having. Maybe there might even be additional support, city guide, something to help them.
Right, and actually, that's a good point because beginning January 1st, they're switching, the PD is switching from the NMTAs to NES, which is National Evaluation Services, so that'll be a change that's coming effective January 1st. But there are study guides, there are things on the website that can help.
Okay, keep us updated.
Okay?
Go on to item B, hires, resignations, retirements.
And the item B, thank you, Mr. President, is just your, the usual, for your information, list of hires, certified, classified, and any resignations we've received.
Any questions? Not? Thank you. Go on to item C, it's an action item. Request to extend leave.
Correct. As the board is aware, if an employee requests leave up to 12 weeks, the superintendent has the authority to approve that, for instance, under family medical leave. And if an employee wishes to extend that leave, in this case it's unpaid leave, it needs to come before the board. So in this case, we have an employee who was on maternity leave, and the children had some medical issues, and she thought she'd be able to return, but she's requesting that the leave continue to the end of next semester till May.
We have enough leave days.
Actually, this is an unpaid leave, so we don't pay. We just basically grant the leave and tell the person that they'll be put in the same, if not a similar position upon return, upon the board's approval of it.
Any questions?
So it's not guaranteed her position, I mean.
The same classification, for instance, teacher to teacher, but it's at the discretion of the district to
Could be
say.
a different salary.
Correct, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I recommend approval as presented.
So moved.
Jones?
Second.
Good, thank you. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Go on to item 10, budget and finance, Armand Martinez. A, approval of November expenditures, an action item.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Space, and members of the community. Armand Martinez, and just to present the expenditures for November. You will note that this month, the month of November, was slightly less than the prior month as far as the total expenditures for the month. The accounts payable, we had $869,926.83 that was issued as far as AP checks. Activities payable was $42,431.81, and the payroll in the amount of $2,220,637.63. If there's any questions on any specific.
What's the 214,907 at the bottom?
I confirmed with Penny Loves who generates the report for me. She had a typing error. She was typing in that
So just cross
number,
it out.
so that's not a reference for anything, no.
So the total, grand total is?
The grand total is $3,132,996.27.
Dr. Space?
I would recommend approval as presented.
There's a recommendation to approve the budget as presented. Leon? Lynn? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, pay the bills. We have a bars, action item.
And there are three bars proposed for approval. The first bar is specifically for the New Mexico Reads to Leads program. And this was requested by Liz Noble from Cubero Elementary School, and the request was to transfer funds for a reading intervention instructional materials. So there would be additional licenses purchased from Lexia to assist for students struggling from 4th to 6th grades. So the request was to transfer $2,160 out of the professional development into the reading intervention instructional materials line. That is the first bar proposed. The second bar for your consideration is the teacher principal training and recruiting. And with this I met with Asha in regards to making sure that there was sufficient funds to cover the expenditures for travel of employees and also for professional development. So the adjusting bar would reduce the professional development by $5,000 and then also would reduce the employee travel non-teachers by $1,000. And with that, there would be an increase to the indirect cost, which was not budgeted originally in the teacher principal training and recruiting fund. And so this would allow for the indirect cost to be expended out of this fund. The last bar for your consideration is from Title VII. And with this I met with Bob Tinnecker in trying to verify that there were sufficient funds for his program to cover employee travel related to non-teachers and parent travel expenses as well. So the request was to move funds out of professional development and out of employee travel for non-teachers in the instructional function and move them into the employee travel non-teachers in the instructional support as well as the parent travel for support. And then the other request was to have some funds available for the possibility of tutoring students at Laguna Acoma High School. And so there are funds that are being moved into direct instruction on that portion. So those are the three bars that are up for your consideration.
Any questions?
On the professional development, are the expenses tuition, are they salaries?
For professional development, they're strictly for contracted services, so they're not salary related.
I would recommend approval as presented.
The one thing I have on this report itself, we used to have a total summary at the bottom of budget increase and budget decrease. I'm sure it adds up to that, but I think you need to be consistent and also highlight or bold lettered on the amounts that are increase and decrease. That way it makes a difference. Somebody's... Okay, there's a recommendation to approve.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Thank you.
Yeah, the bond.
Yeah. Okay, there's a motion made by Mr. Stewart, second by Mr. Jones to approve the bars. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Go on to item C, request for authorization to dispose of equipment.
This request was made from Mr. Michael Connell from Mesa View Elementary, and there are three separate sheets as far as the disposition of equipment. And these requests I received in regards to some of these equipment have already been transferred out of his school, and so I needed to clarify with him that as far as future process for disposition of assets, that there needed to be a board approval prior to having these items transferred. So this is more of a formality as far as having these items disposed of or transferred. You'll note that some of these items were actually transferred to other departments as far as whether they were functioning or non-functioning at the time. So this is a submission or request by Mr. O'Connor for your approval.
And these will eventually all just be disposed of, right?
That's correct. Since these, the majority of these...
Instead of letting stuff stack up, I mean, that's what's gonna happen.
Is this going to the boneyard or like that?
So the process that I've been taking place is, or trying to put in place, is to have these items go to the boneyard and then set lots to where we can sell those lot items off in a public surplus. And so that's kind of in the process at this point. There are a few items that are actually on auction right now through the public surplus website, but for future items as far as disposition, they'll be sent to the boneyard and then sold off in lots.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I did notice that one of the forms was dated way back to October 10th, 2013. So you're certain now that we're going to follow the proper procedures.
That's correct. I have provided the administrators, the principals, with the process to how to dispose of items, and I will be following up with them as far as making sure that those items are submitted in the proper time frame.
Any other questions?
I would recommend approval as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Space.
So moved.
Bailey?
Second.
Let's keep going. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Item D, Sabula County Educational Foundation Officer Changes.
And this is pertinent to the Sabula County Educational Foundation in regards to the agents, directors, and officers that are currently listed on the foundation. You'll note that some of those individuals are no longer with the district or involved in the foundation in any way. So the request is to have those individuals removed as either agents, directors, or officers, and to propose to have perhaps new individuals listed as agents, directors, or officers. So that's what the request is. You'll note the names to remove Anne Marie Gallegos as the agent, Kalina Marcus as the director, and Bob Peets as the officer. As far as appointing individuals to any of those specific functions, I don't have any specific requests or suggestions. I guess that would be more up to discussion.
I want to be like, you would take Anne Marie's and he would step into the superintendent's, right?
Yeah. The other, though, didn't you and Mr. Sandoval review scholarship applications related to this?
All of us do. It's the committee, I mean, it was
Yeah.
the superintendent, which you did last year.
Right.
and Anne Marie, I think, was here, if I wasn't
And then
mistaken.
you did, right?
Myself, Will, and two from the Rotary.
I think that's right, I remember that.
What's her name from the?
Mona.
Mona, and,
The other guy didn't never come back.
He didn't come back.
no, who was the other one?
He was, staff at NMSU.
Oh, Tom, I know who you mean, yeah, yeah.
I think this is proper, but I think what we need to do is maybe you taking the initiative to go ahead and update those
Okay,
through this thing.
all right.
Okay. So we're not gonna take action on this?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I'll recommend that if we go back and look, I'll recommend that I head them on, be the agent, I be the director. On Mr. Pete's though, he's no longer with us, right?
He's with us, but he didn't want to.
Right. So, no.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
With us.
Right, that's what I thought, yeah, yeah. Right, right.
That's a long distance phone call.
Right.
So who would fill the position?
Well,
The
good.
community?
No, he just wanted the superintendent to carry on that position.
And that I would do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen,
It's
how about
also
Stephen
Stephen.
Matthews? I mean, he would have something that he would,
Last year, I meet with him, he likes me to meet with him, and I can bring it up, but he typically, in Albuquerque, I meet with
And
him.
he also wanted our finance officer as part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is.
Right, right. It just, I think he's open, if there was somebody, would it be appropriate for somebody on the board to assume that position? That Mr.
Usually
Pete's
the
had?
president does that overall scholarship.
yeah, there's already two.
But then you would take that position as with the district and also Armand being part of that.
So I would do Mr. Pete's position?
That's how we carried it on once he turned it over to us. Mr. Martin doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just never got reconciled then?
Right.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of maybe if we look at some old minutes and see.
There should be some.
Yeah, there should be something in minutes,
Okay.
when he decided to step
I
down.
would ask that we table this though,
Okay.
till
Okay.
to January, and that way I can, I understand it a little bit better, but I want to make sure we do it correctly.
Okay, there's a motion to table this item until the January meeting.
So moved.
Okay. Second. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, thank you. Go on to item 11, facilities, smart parks, paving project, FY.
Good evening, Mr. President, School Superintendent, members of the board. You have in your packet there a letter that was submitted. We had taken action on our paving projects like we normally do. We had gotten a company on board to do the parking lot behind the bleachers. They started work on it, and then the company didn't show up for about 2 weeks, and I got a hold of the guy, and he says, well, he said the temperatures are getting too cold at night to continue the project. It has to be finished up in spring. And I said, well, we have a problem, because the project was supposed to end December 22nd, so that we can turn in the monies or the paperwork to the highway department so that we can get our monies. If not, then we end up forfeiting that $36,000, I think it was, from the highway department. So I got with the highway department, and they granted us an extension, and it's just a formality of putting the letter together. And so I'm bringing this as a FYI that in the board meeting in January, there'll be an official resolution to go to the highway department stating that we're going to request the extension and the timelines that we're going to work within. I've got a hold of the company for them to set up a definite date to come back and finish the project so that they can get their payment. I am holding up any monies until they agree upon this and they hold up to their end of the bargain and finish the project in the spring.
Make sure they finish the part where they, so
The Humpty Dumpty part?
Those are speed
Those are speed bumps. If you have a lowrider, they keep you out of the central office. Any questions?
Any questions? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we go on to item 12, Superintendent's Report, Status Report. You have 2 action items.
Right. The first is really what NMSU Grants had wanted you to take action. They found out after the fact that they need to have approval for specifically for the financial advisory services to be able to contract. It doesn't impact upon us directly, so I would recommend approval of that.
Is that the one to use,
Any questions?
Yes.
This is the,
Leo?
Yeah.
any questions other than that? If not, the recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion to that? So moved. Mr. Stewart, thank you.
Second.
Ms. Bailey. Thank you. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Have B, do enrollment MOU with CNM.
And this is the, we have an agreement with CNM for dual enrollment and do utilize them, and this is just a continuation of that, so I would recommend approval as presented.
Okay, there's a recommendation to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Mr. Jones, thank you.
And I second.
Ms. Bailey. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. There you go. We go on to board comments. I'm assuming nobody's gonna make the board comment.
Gotta make the basketball game?
You know I am gonna make it, but I'm gonna be quick because I am gonna make the basketball.
Okay.
I will be brief. Mr. Posey, I appreciate you getting up here, and I'd love to visit with you after this meeting.
All right, I'd be glad to. And one more thing I did state, when I started all this about noon today, I called a bunch of people, but on the short notice, nobody's here.
No, that's okay, but we'll visit afterwards. I appreciate your comments, I really do.
Well, I appreciate having the opportunity to present them.
Talking about the JP, Ankadishma? JT, Ankadishma, I just wish they were here so I could tell them I was proud of them. That's all. And that's all I got. Go Pirates, gonna be friendly.
Yeah, I got to go to the New Mexico School Board Conference a couple of weekends ago. It was very good as usual. If you haven't seen it already, you'll be seeing some of the, what do we call it? It's a,
Stand up for
Public service.
public service announcement. It's kind of
Stand up for public.
promoting
Right.
public education, specifically in New Mexico, and it's pretty cool. I think it's going to be a good campaign, good program, and do some good things.
And we'll get Magic Johnson down here.
Yeah, we have some certificates also to give the board. I didn't want you to lose them before the holidays, so that's going to wait.
Thank you for coming too, Mr. Posey.
Thank you.
Just thank you, Mr. Posey, for coming. I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You guys be safe out there. We'll see you at the beginning of the year.
Emily?
Same here. Thank you, Mr. Posey, for bringing all that information to our attention, and we hope that we can work on that. And Mr. Autry left, but, thank you for the job exam that they're doing with the kids. The science is a very important field. We don't have a lot of interest in that, which is fantastic that they're getting recognition. Thank you, Armand. I know that you're doing extraneous work in separating our budget and some of that, so I'd like to know maybe next meeting how far the separation of the budget is coming. And other than that, I know you want to get to the basketball game, so I'll hold it there.
Thank you.
My comments are pretty much the same. I just want to say that Armand put the work, and I know we met today too on the IPAC, Indian Policy Procedures, with Bruce Boynton, and we shortened the policies, and I'm sure we'll hear from it, but I instruct our superintendent to get with some of the major people to try to solve this, because I think, nevertheless, what I had stated was the fact that we as an LEA, and I don't mind this going on the record, because we are the LEA, and we need to adhere to those policies and procedures as we see fit, because we're the ones responsible for delegating those and utilizing the budget as we see fit. But yes, we can take input from the public as well as the leadership of the tribes. So I think we had a good meeting. And good luck, Mr. Jones.
Good luck to you too.
Thank you. So we're up for election next year. But Merry Christmas to the staff. And please, if you could, write a letter for the board to those two students, because I think that's really outstanding. It's really something that we should be proud of.
For sure.
International. Thank you very much, and I'll just forego the announcements because people want to get to the game. Okay, so future agenda items, we do have some, but we'll address them as we go along. Our next meeting will be January 6th. You still, right?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is it won't be a long meeting, but we'll touch upon what we were going to touch upon at the last, which is where we are in terms of the board goals.
Oh,
and then look at what do we want to, because essentially we've accomplished a significant number of them with one exception, and where do we want to go with that one exception?
And the other thing that we discussed briefly is that having a board retreat, we were thinking of getting another person to sort of take us along there.
Yeah.
Facilitate.
Yeah. So I'm looking at something ideally like right around the month of March, like a Saturday in March, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So kind of throw some available dates, because I'll start talking with some potential facilitators in January.
Okay. Thank you. Stand for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Stewart.
Second.
Mr. Jones. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Have a good night.